How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to another episode, or I guess a stream of A Playmakers View. Thank you all so much for joining. I will admit this may be a little shaky. It's my first time ever doing a stream, like I said. But thank you all so much, and I hope you guys are going to get a chance to learn a little bit more about my podcast throughout the stream. And I want to start off by doing a little bit of a thank you to all the viewers out there who have been supporting me. Started this podcast just on Anchor, which is the platform that I've used to be able to record on and get the platform out to you guys. But I've used that, and that happened back in December, and I can remember, the audio was terrible. I didn't know what I was doing, but here I am today. I got a YouTube channel, and it's really exciting, and I'm really excited for the future. So the first thing I wanted to do in this podcast stream is just thank you all for being a part of the stream. So I hope that you guys are going to be able. My outlook of this stream is I want to give you guys a chance to engage more because obviously that's a big part of this podcast. As you can see, if you've bought podcast merchandise, the learn, grow, and get to know sports is my motto, and I've tried to live by that for most of the time, and I want to stick with that just because that is something doing this, I'm learning and I'm growing every single day. That was a big part of this. Every day, every week, I look forward to interviewing more people and hearing what you all think about the podcasts and all that stuff. So please do engage with this stream. I really do encourage it because I want to hear from you all. If you want to be a part of the stream, I would love to have anybody on. I'm not looking for just all-star performers or, athletes, anything like that. I'm willing to talk to anybody who is willing to talk sports, talk about life and how to grow on sports. And I see that I have some viewers here, so thank you so much for joining the stream. But yeah, so I'm going to give you guys a brief overview about this stream. Like I said, today's episode is going to be a Q&A with my good friend Alex Herman. We're going to get into that around 7:30. But right now, again, I wanted to talk with you all about, me starting up this podcast. That's what this stream is called, is, how I started up this podcast. So, sorry, Unzi. I don't even know how to say her name. But yeah, so to start off, again, thank you so much. I've learned so much, not just about sports and about people, but the technology side of things as well. I had no idea how to use OBS or Premiere Pro. Being able to use those things and learn and develop myself is amazing. And I really do appreciate everyone for bearing with me because I know some of the quality of these videos and the audio has been pretty bad. So I do. What's up, Alex? I do want to say thank you all for being patient with me because that's super important. And I'm looking forward to hopefully getting some new technology, get better quality stuff so you guys can enjoy the podcast more. But like I said, if you guys have any ideas for episodes or quality-wise of the podcast, that's super important to me because, it's not just about who you have on, but it's about how it looks. So, yeah. What's up, Luke? And also, I want to talk about Luke real quick. I don't want to shout you out too much, Luke, but Luke is actually trying to start up a podcast, and to me, that's super exciting because he got inspired, and he was a former guest of mine, so that's awesome for me, and I'm proud of Luke for all that he's done. He's got an incredible story. If you haven't learned about Luke and his story, go check out. I had an episode with him probably about a month ago, but quarterback over at Missouri S&T has battled quite a few knee injuries, so shout out to him. And yeah, so talking about the guest, here in a little bit, around 7:15, I'm going to get into some clips that I wanted to share with you all. But I want to hear if you guys have some favorite clips from the podcast, please feel free to drop some of those because I want to know what you guys like or dislike too. That's super important to me because I want to, like I said, I'm doing this stream to be able to engage with you all. I want to encourage you to become playmakers like myself. I want to start to talk a little bit about also the great people that I've met. I mean, this podcast, yes, I'm talking about all the quality. I'm talking about, using Premiere Pro, all these different things. But if it weren't for my guests, I mean, I don't know where I would be, honestly. Uh, them cooperating with me, I know a few times I've had some issues with, connection errors or the having to do something and having to cancel. So for all the people who have been a guest, I want to thank you all so much because that truly does mean a lot to me. And just to be able to talk with so many different people. And the crazy thing with me, too, is it hasn't been um, just St. Louis people. I think it's really cool how I can talk to people all over. And I even, so with the podcast merchandise, I had people buying it and I had to ship some out to people. I mean, some states I have never even thought I would even consider thinking about. So that's pretty cool. And again, I just am so thankful for everybody who's supported it, everybody who's been viewing the podcast and all that stuff. If you guys have a favorite guest, also, please let me know. I'd like to hear some favorite guests or some favorite episodes. Lately, we've been pretty good in views, but I would like you guys to go back and if you have a favorite episode, leave a like or comment and say, hey, like I like this about this episode, or I don't like this about this episode. Because every comment means a little bit to me, so that's really important. Uh, but yeah, please, if you guys have anything, please comment. And I want to go back a little more to learning in that aspect. I've decided at 7:10 we'll go to the clips, but before we get into those, uh, the clips mean a lot to me because I think every episode has something. You can learn something from each episode, but uh, getting these clips, the clips that I posted on Instagram, if you check out Playmakers View on Instagram or Twitter, you'll see different clips, and I think those just highlight the idea for like I don't know. I mean, it just exemplifies the idea of what am I trying to say? Of the learning and growing aspect of it, because there's so many cool things that you can learn from people, and I think that uh, the guests have different journeys that they've taken, but I think it all kind of has the same thing, which I think has been really cool. When I've been doing these podcasts, you can see that they all have similar objectives and mindsets, which I think is super important. Um, and Luke, I see any new segments planned for year two. Um, Sorry, I just kind of saw that and went on a different tangent, but to be honest with you, man, that's kind of why I'm doing this. I really want to know more about what you guys want. There is a big plan, and I've been holding this back a little bit because it's going to take a lot. But I wanted to ask you guys a little bit about the idea of doing a golfing vlog. So a golf, I don't even know how I say that, but a playmaker's view and then a golfing vlog section. So I haven't really came up with the name yet, but the idea is next summer I would take a guest out. They don't have to be an athlete; they can be someone who loves sports. Go out, play 9 holes with them, and basically just vlog that, and ask them questions too. So that is something I really want to do with you all, and just engage with you guys because, in my opinion, golf is a very fun sport. I know some people think it's boring and all, but on a nice day, nice summer day, to be able to play golf with someone and just enjoy their company and talk sports. That's what I want to do, and I want to be able to share that with other people as well. So, like I said, I'm not really sure how that's gonna work, but that is definitely a plan for year two. And you say year two because again, I'm in December. I want to say 10th will be the 1 year of this podcast. So super exciting. But yes, Alex, T Talks was an idea thrown out there. And to answer your comment, Jake, I will be hopefully selling some flags in the near future. Let me know in the comments, guys, if you want. If you haven't got any podcast merchandise, you can see we have hoodies. I had sweatshirts, long sleeve tees, and regular T-shirts. So if you guys want some podcast merchandise and haven't got that yet, please let me know if you want that because that was pretty successful the first time. I know once I was distributing all the podcast stuff, we were like, "Hey, can I get some?" And I'm like, unfortunately, the people that I did it with, you had to order within the 2 week span, and then you deliver it out. So next time when I do it, which hopefully I might do it in January sometime, let me know what you guys think about that. But like I said, I will add things like a flag, or I'm thinking about getting hats as well. I think that'd be cool. I love wearing different kinds of shorts, so we'll see what they can do with that. Um, but yeah, I think it'll be cool. And if you haven't got your stuff yet, please let me know also, because I know I've delivered some of it, and I really would like everybody to be able to rep it. So if you guys haven't got your stuff, please let me know. But yeah, flag is definitely something that I would do. Um, and I want to give a shout out to the Flying Cow t-shirt company out in Columbia who helped me with that. Obviously, with everything going on, um, Jake, with everything going on with COVID and all that, their production was a little down, so it was nice to be able to help a small business like them, and they were extremely helpful. So for anybody out there, I know I'm plugging this business right now, but for anybody out there who really wants to, brand their company, go ahead and check out the Flying Cow if you're around the St. Louis area. Columbia is only an hour away, and they do it very simply. They can set up a website for your stuff, so I would highly recommend that. And yes, I do know some designers. Uh, so yeah, but let me know also what other things you guys think we can make. Like I said, some hats would be cool. I think they do bracelets as well. I wouldn't do. They have sunglasses. I wouldn't do that. Um, but yeah, I'd be so cool to see you guys repping the flags. Um, so in a few minutes, we're gonna start with the clips. But if there's any other things you guys have, please let me know. Um, like I said, if you guys haven't got merchandise and you want some, please let me know because I want to do a second round. I'm just not exactly sure who all would get it, so I want to be sure that I get enough orders. But I'm thinking about January, middle of January, maybe in February, I get more of that. So please let me know with that. We're going to switch over to some clip talk. The first one I want to talk about is Antonio Williams. So Antonio will. Hopefully, you guys can hear these. But Antonio Williams, big mentor of mine. He actually reached out to me when my podcast first started, and like I said, a big mentor. We talk on the phone all the time. Hopefully, he's out there watching right now. But this is a message that I think is super important. He talked about learning from experiences, and this is one of the big times when I was like, hey, like these guests can really help people out. So I think that this message from Antonio can really help the viewers. So I'm going to play it for you guys. Switch over to the screen. You guys can see that. So please let me know if you guys can hear this, and if not, we'll have to just find a different way. But here you go. Sorry, I was playing again. So yeah, that episode, like I said, is a big reason. Oh, you guys couldn't hear it. Dang. All right, that's my bad. Hold on, let me try to get it again. See, I told you I'd be struggling with this. All right, well, I'm just going to talk about this one while I look into it. Basically, what I wanted to tell you guys about this one, and I appreciate Luke. Actually, I'll talk about that a little bit before I get into this. I agree with you. I definitely think that personally, I want to get myself out there more and talk about it. Um, but hold on, struggling. Let me know if you guys can hear this real quick. All right. So were you guys able to hear that? Please let me know. Uh, it's on. All right. I don't know. I'm gonna talk about Luke's comment real quick. Yes, I want to be able to talk a little bit more because that's the whole reason it's my podcast and everything. But I think a lot of times what's been happening is the guests talk so much, and you know the reason behind this is I want to get their stories out. So I do appreciate you telling me that, and I will definitely try, um, to talk a little bit more in my podcast, and I'm gonna try to figure this out. But while I'm doing that, I'm gonna talk a little bit about this clip. I'm not really sure why the audio is not working, but um, so basically, I wanted to show you guys this clip because, like I said, Antonio was the first person who really reached out to me and tried to help. And this podcast itself, like I learned myself from this because I was able to, grow from what he said. After this podcast, I think, um, hold on one sec. I'm gonna try to figure out this audio. Let's see. Um, so what I was saying, sorry about that. What I was saying is he was a big mentor for me, and doing this podcast has allowed me to grow because of what he's saying. If you guys could hear it, sorry about that, but he's talking about how just because you get denied one time doesn't mean you can't do it again. So keep trying, and I think that that's a big idea for you all. I mean, as viewers, it's important to um, you know learn about uh, people's different experiences because with that, you're allowed to grow and develop as well. So I'm gonna get a real quick break, 2-minute break, and I'll be right back. I'm gonna try to figure out this audio, so hopefully I can show you guys some clips. Alrighty, guys. So my brother, who has been helping me with all this stuff, is actually going to help me with the audio. So bear with me here, and he's actually able to see my screen, so we're going to be able to see these clips. It's all the way up. Mm-hmm. If you just joined us, guys, I do apologize. We're currently trying to figure out this audio for these clips so I can talk a little bit about them and get your guys' feedback as well. But
So on the far right, put everything on 1. Now that might work. Let's see if it hit play.
So I would say,
It looks like it's
no
picking
matter
it up, so
what
it
the
should play.
all right, let me
opportunity
know if you
is,
guys can hear
you
this.
take it as a learning experience, and always stay committed to your mission of making sure that you are putting yourself in the best
Anybody?
in the best situation possible to attain the success that you're trying to attain. So I would say continue to stay true to your
It works.
mission. Don't
All
let
right.
I'm leaving.
anybody tell you no.
So
If
we're
if
gonna
if
skip this
there
one, and I'm gonna
once
go
the
to a
no
different one because I've been
comes,
talking about
that's
it for
just
a
pointing
while.
you in another
So, and I
direction.
appreciate you all for bearing with me there. I do apologize. That was a little difficult for me there, but let me go ahead and go to the next one. This next one I want to talk about is Andrew Buck.
So the first thing
So Buck came to me, and he's a friend of Alex, who's going to be joining the show here in a little bit, around 7:30. But Buck came to me, and he has an incredible story. He's a punter at UNC for their football team. So it came up in a soccer background, but his message was super important to me, and I hopefully helped a lot of people out there get some motivation, especially during these tough times. But here is what Buck said about persevering and going through tough times, and now having a great opportunity to play for an outstanding football program.
I actually did was I went to Instagram and I direct messaged every single punter in the CFL and the NFL. Just sent them all a DM. I was like, hey, this is who I am. Here's a video of me punting a football. Started this a week ago. Help me in any way you can. Appreciate it. And I think like 5 CFL guys got back to me, and 3 NFL guys got back to me. And one of the guys that got back to me was Logan Cook, who is the current punter for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He told me that his coach, that he formerly coached him in high school and throughout college.
All right, so I'm gonna cut it short there. But basically, like I said, this story is amazing. I don't know if you're out there, Buck, but shout out to you for joining the podcast. I really appreciate it. I think you have a great story. Just the idea of direct messaging hundreds of people getting that one response. And, at the end of this clip, he talks about getting a chance to work with a Hall of Fame caliber kicker who allowed him to be, Buck was a soccer player, and it allowed him to transform into a kicker, and he now has a chance to compete for the starting spot. So I think this has been one of my best episodes. He's no Hall of Fame NFLer, but Buck's a good guy, and I really hope you guys learned a lot from his experience. Uh, you know, being able to DM people with the technology that we have, I mean, that's amazing. So I'm going to show you guys one more clip, and I want to show you guys this clip with a former coach of mine, Coach Josh Keim, because during these COVID-19 times, I think as athletes, there's a bit of, this motivation thing where a lot of people are lacking the motivation because of the things going on. So with this clip, you'll see he talks a little bit about persevering and making the best out of it because of what happened, and to some athletes because of the COVID situation. So
I'd use the example of playing every day, every practice, every weight session like it's your last, because that's the quote that every coach would always say when we would grow up. It's always play the game like your last, or every at bat like your last. And as a kid that's 12 years old, you're thinking like, oh, I've got 500 more at bats in my career. I'm not even thinking about the last one. But now with COVID-19, where you see last spring seasons were ended, careers were ended because of this. So it is realistic. 2020 has made playing every day like it's your last very realistic.
So you heard it there first. Great example of a way to persevere through these tough times. And like he said, so many people got their seasons canceled, their careers ended because of this COVID stuff. So I think it's important not only to get that motivation from Coach Keim, but also to realize that a lot of things, even if it's not athletics, we can only live once. So to be able to appreciate what we have and to give it our all when we're on the field, when we're at work, when we're doing whatever it is that we're doing in our life, I think it's pretty important to, be able to, do what we love and not like have regrets. So, I'm gonna finish off. I'm gonna do one more clip, and then we'll go into a little break before Alex Herman comes on, who we're gonna do a Q&A with him. So stay tuned. I'm gonna show you guys this one last clip. Who I had an honor of talking to, Tommy Eveld. Tommy is currently with the Miami Marlins. He was on their taxi squad and had a chance to be with the team throughout their little playoff run or towards the end of their season. So he talks a little bit about, he has a unique story as well, because he quit baseball. He was a football player in college, and it just so happened that his friends encouraged him to play baseball. And then he talked a lot about his injuries throughout the different sports. He tore his ACL and persevered to become a great pitcher. So with that, I'll show you guys this last clip, and then we'll talk about it for a few minutes. Oh, sorry. One sec.
He said, if you want to be a champion, you have to be different than everybody else. And if you get hurt and you want to be a champion after you get hurt, you have to recover different. You have to spend more time in the training room. You have to outwork everybody else who's had that injury. If you want to be the best, you have to go out and you have to earn it.
All right. So, like I said, Tommy went through some injuries and, persevered through that. I'm going to leave with this one message for you guys before we could take a little break. But seriously, I think it's really important to be able to, during these tough times, we're all going through a lot, whether that be, with school, with our work, with being a part of an athletic department or a program. But I really do encourage you guys to stay positive, stay motivated, because we can all hope and pray that we're going to have a vaccine soon. And I know this is a sports podcast, but this is really important. I mean, without the mentality, that you need to have a good mentality through sports, and that will encourage you and allow you to do that later on in life, because again, going back to Coach Kime, we're not going to have an opportunity to play football or baseball or basketball our whole entire lives. No one is. No one gets a chance to do that every single day of their lives. At some point in time, you're going to have to hang up the cleats. You're going to have to put away your basketball shoes, anything like that. So I do want to just leave it with that before we take a break. Play every day like it's your last, and if it's not a sport, go to work and work hard like it's your last. So we'll leave with that. And like I said, guys, we're going to be back with Alex Herman. So please stay tuned. It's just going to be about a 5-minute break. I'm going to send him the Zoom link and we're going to get things going. So thank you all so much for joining so far. And we'll be back with you guys in about 5 minutes. Alrighty, we're back and we're about to start a Q&A. It's my friend Alex Herman, guys. He's been on a podcast before, actually 2 podcasts. So thank you, Alex. This is going to be fun. Like I said, I encourage you all, guys, anyone viewing this podcast right now, please feel free to ask questions. We're going to be doing just a bunch of different questions. I have a list of questions here, and just have a conversation for the next 25 minutes. This stream goes till 8. So thank you all so much for joining. First off, I want to ask Alex about his favorite memory as a athlete or as a fan of sports.
Well, Jayme, thank you for having me, dude. I think that the YouTube stream is pretty cool, so hopefully you can keep this going. And I got my Playmakers View shirt on, so
Appreciate that. Yeah.
had to rep the brand. Definitely my favorite sports moment growing up. I was so there's kind of a couple parts to this. I was a senior in high school, and I was playing baseball spring. April. I think it was March. It was definitely March, and my dad surprises me with tickets to March Madness down in Charlotte. I live in Greensboro, so it's about an hour and a half away, and we were gonna see like 1 versus 16, 8 versus 9, and then like 2 versus 15, and then like 7 and 10, and then like the winners of all those games. And so we're like, okay, well, we'll get a couple good, games, maybe a couple blowouts. And I'd tell my baseball coach like the day before, coach, can't come to practice today, and I can't go to the game tomorrow because I'm going to March Madness. And that should tell you kind of how my commitment level was in high school for playing baseball, unfortunately. Right. But so we go down, and we happen to be there for the UMBC versus University of Virginia, like biggest upset ever, 16-1 game. And that was a game that we thought was going to be, just like a blowout. It was the last game of the night. We were going to leave. We had a hotel in Charlotte. We were going to just kind of get out, go to sleep and everything. And we see like, holy crap, like this could happen, 16-1. And great. I think it's the greatest upset in sports history. And I got to see it in person. And I had to sit for a couple games after that on my baseball team for missing the game, but it was definitely worth it. And that's definitely the best sports memory that I have.
Cool. And like you said, it seems like the commitment level was a little bit off there, but
a little bit.
To be able to see that game, I mean, that was going down in history. That was probably one of the best March Madness games that some people have witnessed.
First 16-1. There's never been one before.
Yeah.
Might not see another one either.
Yeah, you're a part of history for sure. So I want to ask you a little bit about also, you went to a pretty good high school, and you got the chance to watch some great high school athletes who are now competing in colleges, high-level colleges and NBA, all that stuff. So what was that like for you, and can you tell us a little bit about some players that you had the pleasure of watching back in high school?
Yeah, man, it was crazy. It was definitely one of the high points of high school. Basically, I went to Greensboro Day School, and every year we were top 25 in the country for basketball. Pretty random, just like the school I go to happens to be like insanely good at basketball. So it's pretty cool. Got to see guys. I saw Bam Adebayo play a couple times in person against my high school. We beat him actually, and now he's like, I think he just signed for $150 million or something ridiculous like that. So Harry Giles, Quay Parker, Devon Dotson, Kobe White, just like a bunch of really high level, either D1 or, starting up in the pros already. So, and it's kind of cool. Like you're watching these guys and like, that they're going to be like, they're just so much better than everybody. Bam was so much bigger than everybody. A couple of guys that went to my high school actually might maybe make it to the league. So, definitely it's like a different culture down here in North Carolina. They call it the hoop state. And not only in high school, but you got, Duke, North Carolina, NC State's pretty good. Wake Forest has their years. So you kind of got a little basketball culture here. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's a nice little area to play some basketball. The next thing I want to encourage everybody watching as well, you can choose, I don't care if you can do basketball, football, baseball, but I wanted to ask you, if you could choose, and we can do current or we can do like all time, would you rather do basketball or baseball lineup? Because I've asked you this before.
You choose. I don't care. We'll figure it out.
Let's do
Let's go basketball.
Let's do NBA basketball. Your starting five. You can do a 6-man as well. So the question is, if you were given the chance to pick any player in the world at any time for a top 5 basketball team to win, the championship, who would you choose?
And we're doing today's players.
Let's just do. It'll be easier if you do today.
And you're gonna do this after? You'll give me your top 5.
Sure.
All right.
I don't know much about the NBA, but I mean, yeah, we'll do it. We'll see what happens.
You know enough. You know enough.
Yeah.
So I actually, point guard, I would say Steph Curry. I think that he's actually super underrated, if you can even say. I mean, I think people mostly think that he's the greatest shooter ever. And yeah, I still think he's a little underrated because I just think that I think that the Warriors aren't the Warriors without him, even with KD, even with Clay. Like, I don't think that I think he's the glue. So I think Steph is my point guard. And then, let's see. My center is Nikola Jokic from Denver. I'm a Colorado guy, but I think that he's like, you got to have a center that can shoot and he can pass. And he can do everything. So I got my 1 and my 5. LeBron is my small forward, I guess. My number 3, obviously, just LeBron James. I think I have Giannis as my 4, just because like he's developing a shot. He can kind of, do his thing and defend like crazy. And then for my number 2, I feel like that's kind of like a tougher one because you can have like Kawhi Leonard. You could have a healthy Klay Thompson. You could have James Harden. I guess you could have Westbrook. I'd probably go with Kawhi. Just the defense. I feel like with that lineup, you have some height and you have a lot of athleticism and you have a lot of defense, and everybody on that lineup can score 30 points.
Hold on. I can't believe you didn't say Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
As your 2, I mean, I would expect, the Nuggets. I don't know. I mean, he's proven himself with the playoffs.
Well,
I don't know if he's top caliber right now, but
I would take Luka over Donovan Mitchell. I would actually maybe put Luka as my 2. I think that guy's insane.
Wow.
I think Donovan Mitchell is like a more athletic Damian Lillard. Like I think he's gonna be underrated for a lot of his career. People aren't really gonna take. I mean, they'll take notice, but I think especially if he stays in Utah, kind of small market, under the radar team, kind of like Portland for Dame. I think that those guys are pretty similar. But let's hear yours. Top 5.
Okay, before we get into mine, Matt, I think it is, just said something about KD. So what are your thoughts on that real quick? Would you add Kevin Durant? Personally, I mean, I am not the hugest Kevin Durant fan. Like, I would put other people over him, but he's probably a Hall of Famer. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, I mean, so it would be KD or Giannis, because I think that they're the same position. So, I mean, Giannis is probably a better defender. KD can probably score. KD is a better scorer. I feel like you have enough scorers in that lineup. But also, if we're talking about today, KD hasn't played for a year. Giannis is coming off of an MVP.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I don't really necessarily think you're rolling the dice with KD anyways. I think he's going to come back and score 30 a night. But Giannis is entering his peak, and KD might be leaving it. So that's kind of where I was going with that.
So I would put, like you said, Steph Curry is unbelievably good at basketball. It's unfair. I think I would have this is out of nowhere, but speaking about watching people in high school, I had the pleasure of watching Jason Tatum in a state championship, and I would put him as my shooting guard just because I really like him. He's really aggressive, plays well, works hard. So he'd probably be my number 2, and then because of that, I would like Kawhi to be my number 3. Man can rebound like crazy, and just the way he plays basketball is amazing. Of course, LeBron would be a 4. We're gonna get into a little bit about LeBron, Kobe, and Jordan debate in a second, but arguably one of the best basketball players ever to do it. I wish and I know we've talked about this before, but I wish I had the chance to watch Jordan live because personally, I don't think it's fair to compare the two without being able to see in person the two. So that's just how I feel. But lastly, I would probably put I don't know what that is. I would probably put Giannis as my 5 because he's an athletic. He can drive, he can shoot, he can do it all. So um, I guess that'd be my 5. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? You think I did good?
I think you might be a little. Well, I mean, I would say you're a little undersized, but like all those guys are still animals. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Jason Tatum might get locked up by Kawhi. If I got Kawhi, I might too. But
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can make a good argument. No James Harden though. Surprising.
Yeah. I mean, if we're talking about now, I think he's starting to get a little. He's not old, but he's starting to age a little bit. There's definitely players who've been a little bit better than him. I just didn't even think about him, to be honest with you. It's just not someone that I think about. It's just weird. But let's move on. I want to get a chance to talk about the LeBron, Kobe, and Jordan debate. So I want to hear the audience's thoughts about this as well. Like I said earlier, I personally don't think it's too fair to be able to compare them because, for one, they played in different times with, to be able to use technology and all that stuff. But also, if you think about it too, um, people say that the defense is kind of lackadaisical in today's game versus what it was then. So it's kind of hard to compare the two, but I would like to hear your thoughts. So I'm going to add this to the comments below because I want to hear everyone's thoughts. But let's hear what you think, Alex.
So, I mean, everybody's got their opinions on this, but I think that, and I hate saying this, like rest in peace to Kobe and everything, and it's one of the it's insanely sad that he died. But like I don't think that he can be considered in that conversation because, and I think a lot of people think this, he's too similar to MJ, and MJ is better than him. So, they have similar skill sets, similar positions, kind of did the same types of moves. I know Kobe would study MJ's game and try to emulate it and everything, which is like insane. And he did a pretty good job of it. But they were I've heard that they're too similar of players, and MJ was better than Kobe, that you can't keep Kobe in the conversation because he's not different enough and he wasn't better than MJ. So, if you have to take Kobe out of it, then it's LeBron and MJ, which I think is going to be kind of the debate for the next while, until somebody else, comes up. But I don't know. I've never seen MJ play. I've never seen him play in person. I've gotten to see LeBron play in person. So I guess I would be partial to LeBron, but the Last Dance, I think that everybody that is like our age saw the Last Dance, and before, if you're like, yeah, LeBron's better, you see that and you're kind of like, all right, well, maybe not, So
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think the big part about it too is, don't get me wrong, LeBron works super hard as well, but things that, in my opinion, what Jordan did with the team that he had at first, he was a one-man crew early on, but I think with LeBron, he always had someone with him. He had Dwayne Wade, Bosh.
Well, he never.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go for it.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I think that there's actually more similarity there because in those early years with the Bulls, MJ didn't really have anybody, and I think they beat the Celtics in like a series, and he was kind of carrying the team. But, and I might be wrong, but I don't think that he ever won championships with those Bulls teams until he had guys like Pippen come over and Horace Grant and those types of guys. And LeBron, for the first 7, 8, 9, 10 years of his career, he didn't have anybody. He never won a championship, but he carried that 2007 Cavs team. They got swept by the Spurs in the finals, but carried that team past the Pistons, like a really good Pistons team, to the finals. So I think they're actually very similar in that way, in that they couldn't win until they got some type of help.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I didn't even think about that. I always think about LeBron being on the Heat. I don't even remember him being on Cleveland. But I mean, that's because he really did most of his work with the Heat. Like, I mean, not most. I mean, he won a lot of championships with them, and that was a big deal. The big three. So personally, that's what I think. I personally think that there's no way to compare the two. They're both Hall of Famers. Simple as that. Uh, get me wrong. I mean, I could be wrong. I'm not, like I said, I'm not a big NBA guy, but when you look at the two, that's kind of what I think. So we're gonna close off with one other debate. This is also an NBA one because I wanted to talk a little bit about one of my old time favorite players, Ray Allen. So if you want to compare him to a more modern 3-point shooter, Klay Thompson, I wanted to hear your thoughts on that. And it's kind of similar to this debate where, they both did different things for the teams, but, the legacy of the Golden State Warriors. So, what are your thoughts on that? You think, Ray Allen has the edge, or does Klay Thompson have the edge in this? Like, what are your thoughts?
That's an interesting question. I feel like, well, I think that Clay's legacy is always going to be with the Warriors. And, like it's that team, 72 wins, 3 championships in 4 years, probably a top 5 shooter ever. I think Ray Allen's also a top 5 shooter ever, but I think he's a little bit different in that people are going to remember him for being in the big three with the Celtics for all those years and winning a championship with them, but then also hitting that corner three against the Spurs with the Heat. So it's like his legacy defining moment wasn't even with the team that he is probably going to be like remembered most for being with, which is like the Celtics and the big three. So I think that that's interesting. I also think it's going to be interesting to see how Klay comes back because now he's out for another year. And these were 2 years of his prime that he's not going to get back. So that's like super unfortunate for him. And I saw that news and I felt pretty bad about that. I don't know. It's also, worth considering Klay Thompson is, I'm not sure. I think he's probably a little bit a little bit taller though. I don't know. And I think they probably played the same position. Again, I'm not really sure, but Klay Thompson also is like really known for his defense. And a couple years ago, there was a lot of him locking down James Harden and him locking down LeBron even sometimes, defending him in the finals. I don't think Ray Allen was like as good as a defender as Klay Thompson is. So I don't know. It's a good question though. I think they're similar, but I think they're also different in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like you said, it's tough. I mean, there's all these debates going on with all these sports, but it really is kind of tough to decide just because of not only, their size and there's different teams, but I think a big part of it too is like the era of which things are going on because right now, like I said, in my opinion, and I know this is the opinion for a lot of people, but the defense of the NBA right now is not as good as it was, I guess, 10 years ago or in the early 2000s. Personally, I would rather watch a college basketball game like in March Madness. I think it's more upbeat and more aggressive until you get into the NBA playoffs. I think those are more competitive, I guess, because more's on the line or whatever it is. But last thing I want to kind of
real quick, who do you think's better, Klay or Ray Allen?
I would say Klay just because of the production that he's had. And you think about it too, I think that he had a lot more of an impact on the Warriors than Ray Allen did for, the teams that he was on. And I could be wrong about that, but I just think that, every time Klay Thompson had the ball, you knew he was going to shoot a three, and 50% of the time it's going in. Ray Allen, to me, is more of, a late game, like, hey, let's pass it out to him. He'll drain it. So he's not like a top scorer. He's more of that threat at the end of the game. So that's kind of how I feel about it. And, I mean, like I said, there's different – they have different roles, so it's hard to compare the two. I think that's going to kind of do it. If you have any other thoughts or anything about sports that you want to add, real quick, we have about 6 minutes left. So if the viewers have anything to add as well, to ask you, Alex, that'd be great. One thing I want to ask you is, what are you looking forward to most about sports? I'll end with that question. With all the coronavirus stuff going on too, we're going to have a different looking season for everything. I think we've experienced that throughout the NFL. So, for instance, fantasy football has looked a little crazy because of people playing games on Tuesday and now Wednesday.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts on that? What can the NFL, NBA, all these teams or all these organizations do to better themselves in the future to keep everyone safe?
Yeah, dude, I don't know. I mean, I feel like if there was an easy answer, they'd be doing it, but the mask wearing, I think they got to enforce that a little better. Like, I'm a Broncos fan, right? I'm from Denver and everything. So all 4 of our quarterbacks were out because I think they weren't wearing their masks, and then they were identified as close contacts to somebody that had the virus. So, and we, yesterday against the Saints had like 100 yards of offense. Our quarterback went 1 for 9, 2 picks, which like that guy, he was a practice squad wide receiver. So he came in, did what he could, mad respect for him. But those guys put the Broncos in a position to absolutely get destroyed yesterday. So the mask wearing, I think, is, you don't see a ton of guys wearing that on the sidelines. I think that's important. Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, I don't know. I think once this vaccine, fingers crossed, it's available and people can access it and it's effective, that obviously would be a big game changer. One thing that I'm curious to see is how college football goes about their, like, the college football playoff and all the bowl games, for a team like Ohio State. My dad went to Ohio State, so big Buckeye fans. They're, I think, 5-0 or something like that. Maybe they might be 4-0, but they just keep, they're hold on. Uncle Mitch is sending in, what happens against the playoff if Ohio State doesn't play the 6 games? Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. Shout out to Uncle Mitch. Good to see you're watching. But yeah, so like, how do they go about that? Ohio State's probably one of the top 4 teams in the country. Justin Fields, they got really explosive offense. Defense didn't really play that well against Indiana, but like, how do you measure them with Florida Gators team that's like going to be 10-1 or something like that? 5-0 Buckeyes, 6-0 Buckeyes. So that's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how that happens. I think that Clemson and Alabama and Notre Dame are going to be in no matter what. So I think it's that 4th spot that we're going to be waiting to see on. But I don't know. I'm happy that I'm not the one that has to make that decision.
Yeah, for sure. And we did see one other question. You can make this quick. But Ben Corn asks, what is your favorite sport and why? We'll end with that.
Baseball is my favorite sport. Just growing up with the game, going to baseball games, with my dad and everything, playing baseball. It's definitely always just been my favorite sport. I think baseball is the kind of sport that if you don't really get it, then you think it's boring. You don't really, you can't really get into it. I think it's kind of like soccer in that way. I don't really know a ton about soccer. I think it's a little bit boring. But people who know soccer love soccer. And I think, baseball is similar, but you know the game, what you're watching, you're looking for different things. It's just like, I think it's the best game in the world. And there's a culture to it and there's a history to it. It's a class history of baseball in the United States. And, my appreciation for the game really skyrocketed after taking that. So definitely got to go with baseball.
Gotcha. I agree with you there. Baseball is definitely my favorite sport. Something I grew up with, something I've always played and watched. So yeah, that's going to do it for us on A Playmakers View live stream, first ever. It was a lot of fun, and I encourage everyone else, if you want to be on the show, if you have any other comments, anything like that, please reach out to me. Thank you so much, Alex, for joining the podcast. But that's going to do it, so thank you so much.
Yeah, Jayme, thanks for having me, dude. Good luck with this. This is a good idea. I think it's hopefully you get some traction. I think it's going to do a good job.
Appreciate it, man. All right, guys, take care.